took a little over a year, but finally back to a new episode of True Hollywood Tales. Now, I was just checking. I knew it's been a while, but the last time I uploaded an episode was July of last year, 2018. So it's been over a year since I did any of these. Number one, a lot of stuff was going on. Cats are climbing all over the couch as I'm trying to talk. Um, Last few episodes, not the very last episodes, but the last couple episodes before that, at that time, a friend and an old bandmate had passed away. And I did those videos regarding Blue. And then, like within a month's time, yet another friend and former bandmate, Mike DLP, he also passed away. So it's like those were just like so close together. So it was kind of hard for me to like get things together to do another video. I ended up doing like a tribute video DLP instead of doing a Hollywood Tales, because most of the history I had with DLP was with the band. As with Blue, it was like both the band and personal. I've known him for years too. I mean, knew them both for years, but there was more interaction with Blue, so I could actually go more in depth than I could with DLP. You know, but I still did the tribute video for him, which was one of the songs we were working on in the studio. I don't know if I'm ever gonna like redo it or not to an actual song instead of just some in the studio demo. But yeah, also this following video, this particular video was one I was going to do next. Actually, I was gonna do this. I had plans for it. I even started writing out like a sort of, not a script per se, but just a bullet point. But also I was having a hard time with that. And as I go into this video, I'll explain why. But yeah, back on another episode. I'm trying to keep up with some of these again. It's hard to because I got a lot of other stuff going on. But yeah, I'm going to keep up with these. I'm going to try to do 2 Hollywood Tale videos to make up for the past years I haven't done these. Don't even ask me about episodes of The Dark Corner yet. I've been telling people for months, oh, new episode coming soon, and as you can tell, there has not been a new episode yet. It's just time and everything. It's been kind of hard to make the time. I do have some plans because it's cooling down. So more on that later, though. I don't want to be talking about a different show that I'm doing on this particular show to try and get done. So let's get on with this video. So this particular video that I meant to do last year but wasn't able to really do regards an ex-girlfriend of mine who I was very close to. Her name was Melissa. Her and I were like really close, whether we were in a relationship or just a friendship. It's actually coming up on the 12th anniversary of her passing away. She died 12 years ago, almost. Actually, this is around about the time she did pass away, 12 years ago, actually. Because I forgot it's September now. So yeah, I will get into that momentarily, but let me give you a little history first. So, years ago, I would say it was about 1997. Actually, close to 1998. Actually, I'm gonna say 1998. it was like right after another girl I was with for a while. That's a whole another episode right there. Her and I broke up for a while, and we had gotten back together again, stupidly. And we started going to shows. We started going to clubs and everything. We used to go to a lot. Used to go to this place called the Coconut Teaser on Sunset Strip. Well, not quite the Strip. It was Sunset Boulevard. It was I forgot the street. It's what's Laurel Canyon in the valley, but once you go over the hill, it turns into Crescent Heights. That's what it is, Crescent Heights Boulevard. It was on Sunset Crescent Heights. It was like Caddy Corner, where I forgot what was there. There used to be a Virgin Mega Store there, Caddy Corner, but I think that's something else now because Virgin Mega Store is no longer around. But anyway, it's like it was a little club at the time, and they used to have this thing, it's once a month glitter glam rock shows. So a lot of the more, because it was the 90s, so you still had like a lot of leftover glam rock bands from the 80s still, doing that thing. And then you had the new school ones that were trying to do something different, and a lot of them were a little bit more punkish. And then a lot of them were still, doing the 80s thing, and a lot of them were more going for the whole 70s glitter rock thing, which was cool. We saw a lot of good bands there. Saw a lot of terrible bands. Made some friends there. Met some people that were being just awful eventually, but that's, once again, another video. So hung out with a lot of people. Sometimes you occasionally see like maybe some sort of celebrity there, or just former famous musician type just hanging in there, But one girl that used to go to these shows a lot, she was like a huge fan of all these bands and just music in general, was Melissa. She was a girl, sometimes she had cerebral palsy, so sometimes, on a rare occasion at the time she'd be in a wheelchair, but most of the time she was on crutches. Actually, I think pretty much all the time when I first met her, she was on crutches. The kind of crutches that you had to... Kat, what are you doing? Why do you guys always wait until I'm filming a video to start being dicks? Stop. Anyway, no, we're not, you know what? We're not doing this. Go play or something. Well, asshole. Storm off, yeah. She would, a lot of bands, she had her favorite band she would see. She was an itty bitty little thing. She was in her early 20s at the time. I think she was just turned like 22, 23, something like that. I forget her exact age. I knew she was kind of in her early 20s, but she was old enough to get into the bars and everything. And she used to always go to shows, and she was basically a groupie in a sense, nothing wrong with that. I mean, I had some confused thoughts about it back in the days when I was younger. Now that I'm older, I understand things better, and I'm like, all right, good, do you, And I used to see her there, and I talked to her. My ex, Virginia, knew her and everything. We'd see each other a few times at shows, and then sometimes I'd see her on Hollywood Boulevard hanging out too. She was one of the many people in Hollywood that was on and off homeless. She was getting, a monthly SSI check, and occasionally she would be indoors for a while. She would be living somewhere, or she'd be couch surfing, or she'd be in a relationship, and then eventually she'd be homeless again. One thing that was sort of consistent, unfortunately, was there was lots of drug use involved. I mean, meth was a common thing that was, definitely done. But at that time, those early days when I first met her, she was doing meth, but she was also shooting up as well. I don't know if it was she was shooting up at speed itself, or if it was heroin. I might have this all screwed up as far as that goes, because I've never, used needles before. And obviously, I have no intention of doing that. But yeah, like I said, it was either speed or heroin, I guess. But there was one time in particular. I may have mentioned it on a previous video. There's a place in Hollywood. It's a little different now. The Los Angeles Gay and Lesbian Center. It was like a community outreach thing. A lot of homeless youth would go there. They had like an outreach program for homeless LGBT youth and everything. They also had, like, at the time when the internet and computers were starting to become more of a thing, they had, like, it was sort of an internet cafe. It was free to use, but you could go there, use the computer there for like a couple hours a day. I believe they also did classes on how to use the internet and everything at the time, and that's where I actually did a lot of my learning about how to use everything. It was back in the old days of using Netscape, and everybody was making GeoCities websites. Does anybody remember GeoCities, or is that just me? Am I just the old fuck? Yahoo Groups was a thing then. Was it? No, I don't think it was quite a thing. Actually, Yahoo Groups wasn't quite a thing yet. That was a little later on. Maybe it was. This is like '98, so everything was like dial-up. But I used to go there. She used to go there a lot as well. And there was this one particular time I was there. I think I used computers, and I had went, cat, stop! Damn it. There was this one day, for some particular reason, I had, went to one of the upper floors, because they had like one of the offices up there. It was like an outreach thing or something. I'm not sure if somebody told me that she needed to see me, or if I was just up there for some reason I ran into her. I don't quite remember. This is the problem with trying to think back 20 plus years ago. You're kind of your details are kind of fuzzy. But either way, for some reason I went upstairs to one of the main offices, and she was there, and she was just sick. She was out of it. I guess I think she was kind of ODing a little bit, or she got something bad. I'm not, once again, being somebody who has never like used needles, I'm not 100% sure how that works, but I'm pretty sure she was kind of at an OD stage, and I felt bad, and I really did not want to leave her. I was worried about her, even though I barely knew her that well. You know, I just knew her from just hanging around here and there. I've talked to her a few times. You know, I knew her name, obviously, but her and I were, you know, I never talked to her. So, I was like, you know what? I'll tell you what, it's like, I asked her, like, did she have anywhere to go? And she said, no. And I'm like, well, fuck. I gotta do something. I don't want to leave her here because I feel to this day, and even she said it to me a few times when we talked years later, you know, if I left her there, she might have died. If I didn't do what I did, I pretty much carried her out and loaded her into my car, and I drove her home. The whole time she's kind of hanging on to me, she's kind of just passing out and everything. I got her home. At the time, I was living with my ex, Virginia, who her and I were almost done again anyway, because that was problematic. We had another girl named Jessie staying with us too at the time too. And they all knew Melissa. And I brought her in. I explained to them what was going on. And for like a week, you know, I was basically taking care of her, you know, I was making sure she ate, I was making sure she stayed hydrated, you know. And, you know, after a week, she was doing better. She was starting to come around a lot. After a week, she was getting better. You know, still not sure what happened. It's like I said, it was a long time ago, so it's hard to remember details. I remember Virginia and Jessie not being super thrilled that she was there, which had to do a lot with the fact that she did have cerebral palsy, so she was limited on things she could do, like going to the bathroom. It's a little hard because the bathroom was in the bedroom and she was staying in the living room, and it's for somebody who needs crutches to walk and everything, and it's just like she really had a hard time, and she had kind of like a sort of a time limit. They get to the bathroom sometimes she wouldn't make it. It just happened, you know. It's not something you could get like. It's not something to be pissed off about. It's not her fault, but you know, they were kind of shitty about it. You know, I do remember that. And you know, like, don't worry about it. Clean it up. It's okay, you know. And it was like at that point, her and I got pretty close. I think because I was taking care of everything, it was just like there was something there, you know. You know, her. I mean, I still remember it was like, because we were going to the show still when she was feeling better. She was going with us because she stayed with, I think, for like a couple weeks, maybe it was almost a month. But one of the bands she liked was this band called Spiders and Snakes. The whole thing was the whole silver lame outfit things, and sometimes they had little backup dancers that also had like silver lame outfits, little silver skirts and everything. And she had her own outfit that she would wear as well. Little tiny silver skirt, little tiny silver top. Got it from there's used to be a shop on Hollywood Boulevard where you could look where like for the longest time, even up until like the early 2000s, you can still go there and still buy like, you know, like lip service stuff, things like that. You know, it's like the place was there for a long time, and she got it from there. And I remember she put on, I'm seeing her in this, and I'm like, oh my god. she noticed that, so, there's that little bit of a tension there. you know. But we didn't really get into doing anything at the time because, like I said, me and Virginia were having like a weird thing. We pretty much we were kind of open, but not. But to get, it's hard to explain. It was a weird. It's just, I know. Like I said, like her and I were getting closer. Her and I were getting closer as pretty much me and Virginia was falling apart, or really already fell apart, really. And eventually, Virginia raised up a stink, and I said, and I had to like take her back to Hollywood, and she was like, all right, well, I'm gonna stay out here anyway, because she would get out of Hollywood sometimes, but then she would always want to go back because she couldn't really stay away from the area, It's all right. So I took her there, and that was it, I saw her a couple times after that, but it was like a little bit before I saw her again. After that, Virginia and I kind of had like a big blowout, and she left and was with this other guy that she was already seeing for a while. And it was just me and Jesse staying there for a while up until we got like evicted out of this apartment that we were in. And I remember I was actually homeless for a little bit, lost my car because my car just died. And I didn't have the money to fix it. It was an old Toyota Corona. It's like an 83, I think. Something like that. It was the early 80s. It was a hatchback. And it got me around for a while, but, So I ended up homeless for a while, and I ended up staying eventually at the time, friend's place. But she was like, she had an apartment, but she lived with her mother still nearby, which was weird. I didn't quite understand it. She had an apartment, because originally she had this apartment with her ex, but I'm not sure how the details were. So she had this apartment, so she's like, you can stay there, I'm like, cool. So I was staying there at the time. Also at the time, there was another girl that was kind of, I brought there too. There was another girl that was like really close to, for some reason. And that's going to be a long video too. Her name was Tina. At the time we weren't together. But she was staying there. We hung out a bit. I think she was in and out of hotels, so I was sometimes stay there with her, hotel with her too. And she was somebody I had a thing for too. And then eventually, while staying there, I started because I used to make at the time, because I used to work in Santa Monica and stuff like that, because I used to make jewelry and stuff like that. And I used to do the hair wrap thing. I had talked to some people. I was wanting to be like a piercing apprentice, but while I was there, this guy talked about the other stuff I did, like the hair wrap stuff like that. It's like, oh yeah, well, if you want to try to do that here, it's like cool. So I was kind of working in a shop for a while. I didn't really make a lot of money. I made some jewelry. I made some smoking pipes and stuff like that. And then I ran into Melissa again while I was there. I hadn't seen, like I said, I hadn't seen her in a few months, actually. And so she was there, and she just got paid at the time, so she paid me to give her a hair wrap and stuff like that. And I'm like, that was the one thing about her, which is unfortunately, which was also the problem with her. People took advantage of her because she was a very, very generous person. She would get her check, and a lot of times she would end up blowing on people. She would buy a hotel room to party with a bunch of people, that were act like her friends, whenever she bought drugs, she would share with everybody, And while it was one of those things, like, while she had this money, she had all these friends hanging around with her. And once she was broke, you know how that goes. But we talked, we hung out for a while, and it's like she asked, like, did I want to hang out later? I'm like, yeah, and we did. I don't know if it was that night or maybe it was the next day too. But I know I was hanging out with her, and I was hanging out with her and Jesse. Jesse had this guy she was seeing for a while, and I was hanging out with Melissa, and we were hanging out on the corner of Hollywood and Highland, where the McDonald's is at. And at the time they had, because I guess they were doing some construction over there, so they had like these concrete blocks that had the light poles on them. So everybody used to sit on them. So we're all hanging out there, hanging on these, sitting on these and hanging everything. And then next thing you know, me and Melissa are making out and everything. And eventually I was like, you know what? I got a place I'm staying at. Why don't you come back with me? So she came back with me, and things happened that night. And we were boyfriend and girlfriend for a while. And I always loved her, the whole time. Even when we weren't together, I still love her. But, with her and I were really close. Things were actually good for a while, and it was like somebody I was told to take care of and everything. And, I think of a lot of the things kind of fondly, but at the time, this is my first lesson in non-monogamy, because she was not a monogamous person. It was something that was difficult for her to do, and it would take me a little bit to understand that. But where the place I was staying at was in Sun Valley. It is not a close jaunt to Hollywood at all. I mean, there was like a bus that at the time was running through there. It was a long. They got better options now, obviously. But back then, the RTD, which MTA now, but used to be RTD, Rapid Transit Division, wasn't that rapid. The bus lines were just long and ridiculous. So the bus line that used to go to Sun Valley would I think it would, you take it from Hollywood, it was like the 181, I think, was one of the buses, but you pretty much had to do just loop around, go to like Glendale to go all the way back into the valley. It was a stupid route, I do remember that, and it was a long bus ride. And Melissa, being a person, she had to hang out in Hollywood, and like after a while, there wasn't a lot to do in Sun Valley. I mean, if you're familiar with the Sun Valley area, especially during the 90s, well, shit, now. Last time I was out there, You know, there's not a lot. You got apartment houses. We live right by the railroad tracks. We live right off the like San Fernando Road, and whatever street that was, that I can't remember. I know it's a street you could take all the way up. It, if you took it up far enough, actually, I think it went into um, Tahunga, the Tahunga area. I know if anybody remembers, leave me a comment below. But you know, in that area, it's like wasn't a lot. You know, so she occasionally, you know, she got to Hollywood one time. She was gone for a couple days. She came back, but she got a ride. She brought a couple people with her. They were kind of a couple douchebags. Her and I started fighting a lot. Eventually, her and I did break up, and eventually she did leave. During that time, though, while things were a little weird, I wasn't really doing drugs at the time. Tina, who I was kind of seeing, was doing meth. Wasn't yet. Melissa was actually the one that got me started on that. You know, and the main reason I did that, because I asked her about it, because Tina wasn't going to give it to me, and then I'm not sure how Melissa felt about it, but you know, basically my main thing of doing it with her was I wanted to be closer to her. I thought, okay, well, you know, if we're doing drugs together, stupid logic. So here I was, you know, after a while we broke up and everything, and I was still doing speed, but I was doing it with Tina instead. So, and I was kind of sort of in a relationship with Tina for a while, you know, and that was a weird relationship right there. But like I said, that's a whole different video. That's gonna be, because this one's gonna probably be a little long. That one will definitely be a long one. When backtracking though, before like right about the time when Melissa and I were falling apart and everything, she would disappear. Sometimes I would go to Hollywood and find her because I was like worried about her. I wanted to make sure she was okay, you know. And other things I did not mention, but it's kind of pertinent to the story to mention. I mean, sometimes she did sex work, you know, for extra money. And apparently, like, some guy, while I was out looking for her, I was out hanging out. There was like a Fame Cafe, which is where a lot of people used to hang out at the time. It's not even there anymore now. But I was hanging out there. It was like probably like 2, 3 in the morning, and there was a guy that was one of her customers was looking for her, and he was asking me about it and everything, and he gave me $20 as a business card. I said, hey, if you find her, give me a call. And I'm like, okay, which no, I never did. I'm not sure what his deal was. Also, I didn't run into her that night either. You know, eventually I kind of gave up. I gave up on that. So, after being with Tina and everything, and I was with Tina, we were homeless for a while, and then eventually we were staying in a hotel, that's gonna be another video too. But it's a hotel on North Hollywood that I can't even remember the name of anymore. It's now like they're like small apartments now, but it's still pretty much, it's like a monthly rental hotel now. But we were living there for like a long time, for the longest time. And while I was with Tina, you know, also there was a guy that she was with too. So I guess once again, the whole Melissa's a non-monogamy. I guess it was a sort of polyamorous relationship, or at least just open, because she was still with him, but she was still with me. But you know, I would occasionally see somebody else too. So yeah. But they once again these salespeople also knew Melissa. And it was this one day. It'd been like a year almost since I'd seen, or maybe 6 months, 6 months to a year. I know it was somewhere in that time. I know it was a long time since I saw her because I didn't. Actually, I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was a year. They came. Tina and her boyfriend Buddha were out. They came back one time, and they were like, "Hey, we got a surprise for you." I'm like, "Okay." And who do they bring in? They bring in Melissa. And Melissa looks different this time. She was actually, she was actually chubby, because like she was kind of like, last time I saw her, she's kind of skinny, kind of thin and everything. Now she was chubby. I mean, she looked good. She was, I remember it's like her having the extra weight on her was actually looked it was worked well with her. She looked healthier, and we talked, and she had apologized for everything. And there was some we mentioned how much we miss each other, and apparently she had a baby or something. So yeah, which lets me know it was definitely a year at least since I had last saw her. She had a baby, and apparently, obviously, they didn't let her keep it. So, which explained how she got so chubby, and also that fact that she was actually sober for a little while. And at that point, her sobriety ended at that point when running into Tina and Buddha, since sobriety was never their thing. So, but they left. They had left. To leave her and I alone at the hotel room we were staying at. And we talked for a while, and next thing you know, kind of picked up where we left off, sort of. And she even asked me, she's like, so are we back together? Does this mean we're back together? I'm like, maybe. And I remember she had to go, after they got back, she had to go. And then she talked to me later, and I'm like, okay, so, then I remember that and then I didn't see her again until probably it was almost another year, because by the time I saw her, me and Tina had already broken up. I had quit the meth, and I was living with my girlfriend. What are you doing? So I was living with my girlfriend Sue. Because Sue was staying at that hotel, and we were friends, and we got together, and we were living in an apartment, a little bit further up on Riverton. This is in North Hollywood still. Yeah, it was well over a year until I saw her again. But I ran into her again one time at North Hollywood Park. Yeah, and this was like 2000. This was like, yeah, it's 2000, almost 2001. I ran into her. I used to see her at the park. and she was now, occasionally homeless in the park. She had like a whole new crowd she was hanging out with that was out there. She was with this guy that kind of looked like a busted up, cracked out Robert England. That's a terrible description, but it's the best I can explain. I never liked the guy. I thought he was a piece of shit, and he was. But I would see her there. We'd hang out. I'd talk to her a lot. And then, it got to the point sometimes I would just take her home so she would have a place to crash and clean up at. Kind of just chill for a little while, and then she'd head back out to North Hollywood. This time she was staying mostly in North Hollywood. She wasn't going back and forth to Hollywood at the time. I think she may have on occasion, but for the most part she was staying at around that park area. And Sue and I got to a point where we broke up, but we were still living together. And Melissa was staying with us, and I mean, yeah, actually, no. Actually, yeah, things happened again. Yeah, but I mean, at that time, like, it was still easier for me to keep track of Melissa because she was mostly out in North Hollywood. So I would still see her occasionally. I was just try to take care of her when I could. Later on, eventually, as I started, once me and Susie had gotten together, I was seeing Melissa before for a while when I was with another ex, Amy. Amy didn't like her very much, but well, whatever. But eventually I ended up with Susie. Actually, she's always been a constant. I've been with a few people since her, and she's always still been around. Was around rather. But it was around about the time I was getting things geared up to move out here to Indiana for the first time, which was back in 2007. And last time I saw Melissa, I was on the phone with Susie for a while because before I moved out here, we used to talk on the phone a lot, Just like whenever we were if we're living a couple states apart, we were always on the phone. But there was one time I was talking for a while, I was talking to Susie for a while, and they, fuck. Okay, gonna edit that part. So there was this one time I was talking to Susie for a while, and then we stopped. We hung up for some reason. I think they had something to do, or maybe it's because I was gonna go into the library. And ran into Melissa there, and we pretty much hung out most of the day, and we were talking. Remember her and I had the longest conversation. I'm like, girl, you can't live like this. I mean, you can't do this. I was actually really genuinely concerned because she didn't need to be out, on the streets like that, people were taking advantage of her, and that was the other thing too. That's why this whole group of people she was hanging around with her, because basically her, once she got a check, everybody was getting high, and then, And I hated that. I always hated when people. I wanted her to, just kind of save her money. You know. Wait, backtrack. By the way, before it's like I used to see her again when I first saw her when I was with Sue. She was not yet homeless in North Hollywood. She was staying with a guy named Noel in, in actual Hollywood. So she was actually living in North Rock. I forgot about that. Sorry, I do this in these videos sometime in case you haven't noticed it. Uh, but yeah, she at the time I ran into her again. She wasn't homeless actually. After I hadn't seen her for like a year since the incident with when I was living with Tina. But she was with this guy Noel and everything. Then I guess eventually they broke up. And that's when she ended up in North Hollywood with this crowd. Pretty sure. I don't think, unless there's something in between there I'm missing. But back to the last time I saw her. We were talking about everything. I'm pretty sure I told her I did care about her. I cared about her. I just wanted more for her. And she wanted to go back to her camp she had, and I'm like, okay, so she couldn't roll down there by herself because she was at this time these last few years I've seen her, she went from crutches and she was just using a wheelchair, which is the other reason why she was dependent on all these other people too. She needed help somebody push her around because it's harder for her to push herself around on a wheelchair at a time because of the CP. So we're still talking as I push her down to her camp, which is all the way down to Hunka Avenue, almost at Ventura Boulevard. And when I finally got her down there, everything, we hugged, said bye, and I'd see her later. The guy she was with, scooped her out the chair to take her over to their little camp area. And she was kind of looking at me. But yeah, I don't know. But anyway, after that time, I was not gearing up to move out yet. I was gearing up to visit. That's when I had left for like a week or so. Came up to Indiana, hung out with Susie and everything, and then went back. And I was at that time. I was living at a former friend's apartment at the time. And I remember it was, like I said, actually no. Okay, so it was actually what I'm thinking of. Okay, so this is what I'm saying. Time getting mixed up here. It was because like I saw Susie in October, so it was after that. So it was around November. While I was at my friend's house, I had gotten a call from Buddha, and he informed me that Melissa had passed away. Apparently from like complications with a stomach virus and HIV, something like that. So it was a little weird. It was a little surreal. A couple other people confirmed it. And honestly, that's kind of bugged me ever since. It's kind of because I always feel wish I could have did more or did something that could have prevented that. I wish I could have did something that would have prevented that. Because she deserves better than that, you know? I mean, all in all, I understood, you know, why relationships didn't work out. I I understood certain things that she did now more than I did then. You know, and there was a lot of things she did just because she just wanted to enjoy her life. You know, it was a weird quality of life she had at the time. It was, you know, you can do, I mean, being disabled doesn't really stop you from doing a lot, you know. Being homeless and disabled, that can cause a lot of problems for her. You know, it did. So, you know, she would try to keep friendships, you know, even if it meant, you know, these people were kind of using her for her money, you know. She was keeping these friendships, you know. And then she would just do things that would just made her feel good, you know, be it the sex or drugs, you know. Because maybe that's all she felt, that's all she had. I don't know. I just know, I just like I have more of an understanding of it now. I know when her and I had first broken up, I was really heartbroken about it, and I didn't quite understand it. Nowadays, I do, you know. Ugh. I'm just babbling. I don't even know if this video is even going to make any sense, but I'll edit it and post it anyway. Because I need to upload a video, I promise this one. And it's been 12 years and I still think about her a lot. That first year after I had moved out here, I had a couple dreams about Melissa. The one that I remember the most, still, that I remember pretty clear for 12 years, you know, I saw her. We were walking around this place that was like an amalgamation of Hollywood and North Hollywood. And I think she was on her crutches at the time, in the dream. And like, pretty much all the people we knew were there, you know, or versions of them, you know, like the whole like Sunset Strip thing was there, and I remember we were having a lot of fun. We were smiling, we were laughing. And it was just really happy. And then, for some reason, something had clicked on my head. And I was like, hey, let me ask you a question. She's like, sure. I was like, why was everybody saying you died? And she looked at me shocked, just so shocked. And next thing you know, I was awake. It was as if she was visiting me, but she didn't even know she died. I mean, I've had people I've known that died and visit me in my dreams before, you know. Hell, had that last year with Blue, you know. That one time in particular just always sticks out to me. always kind of hoped and wished that she would just pop up back in a dream randomly, just say hi. I even wrote a song about that, which probably gonna record. We actually played it. I know this video is kind of weird right now. I put myself in a weird one, and then honestly, I knew I was gonna do this, talk about this. Why I had a hard time film. I actually started filming this a couple times, like last year, and then like a few months ago. And even recently, this video, I decided when I decided, oh, I'm going to work on the video, because I mentioned it in other videos, like I'm working on some new Hollywood Tale videos. This has been about a month in the making. I'm just now doing it finally. Because it's something that's a little hard for me to talk about. Well, and I've talked about it to a few people, but not sat here, made a video about it. Probably a very long video at this point. It's probably like 30-40 minute video of this, right? Just me babbling and getting kind of emotional. But yeah, I do miss her. She was a good person. She had a lot of shit to deal with, and a lot of, pretty much most of it. It was none of it really. It was her fault. She didn't ask for any of that. She didn't deserve any of that. She was a good kid. And like I said, just wish I could have did something. Wish there was some way I could have maybe prevented that from happening somehow. And I'm wondering, maybe if there was a way I could have did something where she'd be alive today, and maybe living her life, Well, didn't this turn into a depressing video, folks? Anyway, I think I'm gonna end this before this video gets weird. Babbling. I need to stop. I'll see you guys later in another video. Bye.